Let's talk about a date. June 23rd, 1757. It might just be a date in a history book for many, but on this one day, in a simple field in Bengal, the whole future of India, it just changed forever. But you see, the story of what happened that day, it's not what it looks like on the surface.
So you have to ask, how did this even happen? I mean, really, how on earth did an army of just 3,000 soldiers, belonging to a private company no less, manage to defeat a massive 50,000-strong army of the Nawab of Bengal? Was it some incredible military strategy, unbelievable bravery, or was there something else going on behind the scenes?
Just look at these numbers for a second. 50,000 versus 3,000. Come on. On paper, this isn't even a fight. It should have been a complete wipeout. And yet, what actually happened completely defies all logic. It just doesn't make sense. You see, this is because it wasn't really a battle in the traditional sense. This was the precise moment that the British East India Company went from being, just a bunch of traders to becoming conquerors. So welcome to our explainer on the Battle of Plassey. This is the turning point, the one that really kicked off 2 whole centuries of colonial rule in India. A trading company became a ruling power. Just think about that. Okay, so to really get how we ended up here, we need to go back a little. We have to look at what was brewing in Bengal in the middle of the 18th century. What were the politics, the economics? What was the mood on the ground? So first things first, who was this East India Company? Well, they were a British trading corporation. Pretty simple, right? But here's the kicker. They had their own private army. Yeah, a company with an army. They've been in India trading since the 1600s, but things were about to change big time. And this is really where the trouble starts. You had 2 sides with completely different ideas. On one hand, you have the Nawab, SirajUdDaulah. He just wanted the company to behave like any other merchant. Pay your taxes, don't go building illegal forts, and just respect that he's the ruler here. Simple. But the company? Oh, they had much bigger plans. They were using these special passes called dastaks to get out of paying taxes. They started building up fortifications in Calcutta without even asking for permission. And they were even playing politics, supporting the Nawab's rivals. It was an absolute collision course. There was no way this was going to end well. So if you break it down, it really comes down to 3 main things. First, the political stuff. The British were just constantly meddling in local affairs and building these illegal forts. Then, the economic angle. Their misuse of those trait passes was literally draining the treasury of Bengal, and it was crushing local merchants who actually had to pay their taxes. And the final spark? That was Siraj's attack on Fort William in Calcutta. This led to something the British called the Black Hole Incident, an event they, let's just say, blew way out of proportion to give themselves a reason to go to war. The historian Bipan Chandra puts it really well. He says, and I'm quoting here, "SirajUdDaulah's anger was not merely emotional. It was a defense of regional autonomy against foreign encroachment." So this wasn't just some young, hot-headed ruler losing his temper. No, he was actually fighting to protect his kingdom, to protect his sovereignty from these foreign traders who were acting more and more like they owned the place. So all of this tension, it's all building up, and it looks like it's headed for a massive battle. But here's the secret. The real fight, the one that actually mattered, it wasn't going to happen on the battlefield. It was all happening behind the scenes, in a conspiracy that was put in place long before a single shot was fired. There's a quote from some IGNO material that just hits the nail on the head. It says, "Plassey was less a battle, more a drama of deceit." And that's exactly it. The whole thing was won not with guns and soldiers, but with secrets, with whispers, and with betrayal. Okay, so let's get into RobertClive's brilliant, or should I say devious, plan. It was pure, calculated treachery. First, he looked at the numbers, 50,000 soldiers, and thought, no way, a straight-up fight is way too risky. Smart man. So, step 2, he reaches out to Mir Jafar. And who's Mir Jafar? He's SirajUdDaulah's own top general, his commander-in-chief. And Clive knew he wasn't happy. Step 3, they make a secret deal. The promise? Help us, betray your Nawab, and we'll make you the new Nawab. He even tricked some of the other plotters in the process. So this so-called battle, it was just the grand finale of this whole drama he had written. And the day of the battle itself? Honestly, it was almost a joke. It all kicked off at 7 in the morning, but then it started pouring rain. A massive downpour. Now, this is the crucial part. The British, they were prepared. They covered their gunpowder to keep it dry. The Nawab's army, they didn't. So their powder was soaked, completely useless. Then, a stray cannonball hits and kills Mir Madan, who was one of the Nawab's few truly loyal generals. At that point, SirajUdDaulah just panics. He turns to Mir Jafar, the traitor, for advice. And what does Mir Jafar say? You should retreat. So, Siraj flees the battlefield, and Mir Jafar's huge part of the army, what did they do? Absolutely nothing. They didn't move an inch, they just stood there and watched it all happen. And just like that, poof, it was all over. The battle was won. And with that one strange, rainy day, a new and, let's be honest, a brutal empire in India was born.
I mean, if you still need proof that this wasn't a real fight, just have a look at the casualty numbers. The Nawab's huge army lost about 500 men. The British, less than 30. 30! This wasn't a military victory. Come on. This was a prearranged handover of power, all built on a foundation of lies and betrayal.
And what happened next was, well, it was quick and it was brutal. SirajUdDaulah was hunted down, captured, and executed almost immediately. And Mir Jafar? He got his prize. He was made the new Nawab of Bengal, just as promised. But he was a Nawab in name only, a complete puppet, totally dependent on the British who had put him on the throne. And if you want to know what this was really all about, just listen to what RobertClive wrote in his own diary. He said, "I was astonished at my own moderation, for I was master of Bengal." He wasn't celebrating a hard-fought battle. He was just amazed at how easily he had become the master of all of Bengal's incredible wealth and power. It had all just fallen right into his lap. The conquest was complete. So let's just end on this one thought. The entire story of modern India, 200 years of British rule, the massive drain of wealth, the terrible famines, you can trace so much of it back to this single day. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If just one man, Mir Jafar, had stayed loyal, if his loyalty hadn't wavered, would the entire course of Indian history have been completely different? Something to think about.